Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right, welcome. We have some connection problems today for sure, so you got to bear with us. I couldn't even see the entire intro. This is episode 181 of CPG Vibes, and we've had to be on. We're on the road right now. Wade is caught in some kind of storm, and also the connection out here in California, Los Angeles is not as good right now. I think a lot of people are moving, a lot of people are traveling. They're really concerned because of the hurricane, whether that's going to be a big factor or not. This is really historic times in general in California, and also on our show where the connection's really, really bad. It's being overused. People are traveling. So we're going to get through this the best we can. And so let's just roll with it, and we will answer your comments wherever we can. Again, Wade may pop in. He may not. He's caught in a storm. I'm in LA caught in a storm. And then Michelle Razavi, who is our guest, she is the co-founder and CEO of ELAVI. And she's also in LA right now. She's in Marina del Rey. So we're all kind of caught in this hysteria with the hurricane. So anyway, Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Super excited to be on and chat everything CPG and answer any questions.
Absolutely. So, and thank you for all your patience through a very unpredictable show, but you know what, it makes it more fun, right? We're off the cuff. We're going through some adversity. We're going to answer some.
I feel like that's just entrepreneur life. You're just so used to working through fires. Like someone told me an entrepreneur is basically a firefighter. You're putting out fires every day. So I feel like at this point, like connection issues, I'm just like, what else you got?
Exactly. That's the least of our worries compared to what we go through on a day-to-day basis here. So couple like quick laundry list items, and I want to really go into the full story, the product, everything about ELAVI. So the first thing is make sure to give us 5 stars in Apple Podcasts. We're at 112 right now, which is a really great R&B band from the 2000s, I think. Do you ever listen to that band, 112?
No.
Okay. The conversation ends right there. So nothing about 112. We're going to move on from that one. So make sure to give us 5 stars and Apple Podcast. It's really easy. Go on your phone, type Apple Podcast, go to the app, and give us that good rating. And then also, if you'd like to be a guest, make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And if you'd like to also be a sponsor, same thing. You can just email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. So again, for those that are just hopping on, Wade may be here. He may not. If he does, it'll be a surprise entrance. But for now, Michelle's going to be almost like you're like a co-host, right? You're just here co-hosting the show.
I love it. Put me in.
Yeah, right on. So a couple comments here we're going to go through. Typically, we don't have a lot of time for comments, but we definitely wanted to shout some people out here. So we have Jason Raymond Werner. Let's go. We have David Delcor. What's going on, my man? Hey, y'all. Luis Alberto, happy Friday. We have Kenny, who, is actually, I think, making his way back to the States. He made an announcement that he's going back to the States. He's going to transition from Foodland. He was a head of buying there. I always mess up his exact role, a director. And now he's going to be looking at a little life change and a career change. So, or at least a positional change. So Michelle, let's just go right into while we have reception, while things are working, which I'm very happy it is. It's so cool because your product is something that a lot of people would love. It's also very colorful. It's bright. It's called, let me make sure I get this right. It's a superfood dessert cashew spread, right?
Yeah.
So tell us more, like, where did this come from?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what do people say, like when you're in buyer meetings or like presenting the product to customers? The color, right? The color is so like blue and pink. And so tell
Mm-hmm.
us more about like where you hatched this idea,
Right.
and what has the consumer feedback been with something that's so radically different from what's on the market?
Yeah, no, and that's really what I love so much about the food and wellness industry is the opportunity to innovate, especially when you're trying to create something that's better for you. That's where the true innovation happens. So in terms of how this product line even started, I have to like take a step back first to our first product line. So we didn't originally launch with these dessert cashew butter spreads. We launched with collagen protein bars. And, at that time, it was like pre-pandemic, my co-founder and I launched this company as fitness trainers, also working corporate jobs. And really the genesis of it for myself was I had a lot of gut health issues. I couldn't find something that was void of sugar, alcohols, dairy, gluten, common irritants that caused me to be sick. And so really just to create products that I could safely eat, that kept me full for hours, that was shelf stable and convenient to have at any time, created this product line. As I'm sure you can imagine, protein bars are a very, competitive category. It's granted a lot of demand for it, but it's very hard to play in that space. And so, as we were thinking through, what's next? How can we innovate further? How can we take what we've learned in cutting our teeth in arguably one of the hardest kind of shelf stable categories, and apply our learnings to true innovation. And the way I see innovation is where can I draw inspiration from other, categories, other sections, other industries. And so prior, I was working at Sephora corporate in beauty and cosmetics, and so that's where you see a lot of like the colors and also this intersection between clean beauty. And so, taking what I've learned of, people are attracted to color, there's this emotional reaction that happens, and this opportunity for us to bring in color naturally with superfoods, as I've seen in like smoothie bowls and acai bowls that you see, all the colors are natural. And when a fruit or a food has colors naturally, that means it's the highest in antioxidants, phytonutrients, actually most nutrient dense. So color, nutritionists will tell you to eat the rainbow like your fruits and veggies because it has the most nutrients. So applying that to category like nut butter, for instance, that is typically brown when you go to the nut butter section on a grocery shelf, or when there just hasn't been that much innovation aside from the nut butter packets that Justin's has come out with, we saw this opportunity, this white space of, okay, here's a category that, is growing because it's plant-based, healthy fats, that low fat trend is now transitioned to high fat as keto is growing and people are looking for plant-based ways to stay full longer and for them to get in more protein without animal meats. We're seeing these trends. We're also seeing these trends for healthier indulgence coming up. So how do we kind of hack a way to kind of deliver a healthy, natural, sweet kind of indulgence without any added sugar? So that was another thing you're seeing is people are really trying to cut their sugar. And
Mm-hmm.
applying our gut friendly approach is doing so without any sugar alcohols. So you see a lot of erythritol or sucralose or aspartame in a lot of low sugar products. So we're like, here's a white space opportunity for us to create something that's low sugar and low glycemic, so it's diabetic friendly, but also gut friendly by not having any sugar alcohols. And so that was the mission, the ethos, and then pairing that with the excitement of wanting to bring fun and functionality and color into healthy snacks, that's really how it was born. And so we were prototyping in my kitchen. I was creating the first kind of prototypes, mixing different superfoods and testing different levels and adding in different sweeteners to find the right ratios. And that's how ELAVI was born. And that's how the dessert cashew butters came to be.
Yeah. What's really cool is the colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just, you talked about it. I asked about it. And, one of my friends, Chuck Asana, right, with Pattaya Foods,
Mm-hmm.
one of the main things that really generated interest and eventually sales was that it turns like this bright pink, right? Like, dragon fruit.
Yep.
You put it in a smoothie, you blend it up, it's this bright pink. It's very Instagrammable. I don't know if
Yes.
that's an old, outdated term now because I'm like the other side of the millennial spectrum. I'm like the older millennial,
Yeah.
the millennial elderly is kind of my term. I just
Elder
made that up.
millennium. Yeah.
Eldermenial or whatever. We'll think of a term for it. We'll work on that. And so like, I love how your product to me is like a much healthier version of Nutella, because
Exactly.
Nutella is freaking crap. And I don't
Mhm.
care. Like, there's people that love Nutella on here. I'm going to say it. I don't give a
Yeah.
crap what you
Yeah.
think.
It's terrible
It's
for you.
crap.
It's
And
terrible.
I've tried it and I don't feel good when I have it. I remember when I started dating my wife way back, we had Nutella. I'm like, almost like I felt sick after the meal. So like, it's so cool that you're going into this space and then also offering the superfood. So with all that
Mhm.
said, what has been the reaction? Because I'm sure it's mixed. It can never be like, oh my God, it's amazing. But I'm sure there's people like, that's not a normal color for nut butter. That's different. How has the educational process been for people to understand that it is this color? And have you gotten consumers that are like, that's weird? Like, tell us kind of your
Yeah.
experience there.
Yeah, I love that you asked this question. I love that you brought up Nutella because we just got out of our Costco Roadshow. So we were, if anyone is familiar with the Costco Roadshow, or just quick one second about it. So it's basically a pop-up inside of a Costco. And they'll do this with emerging brands for you to test yourself if you haven't been in the market very long, or this product hasn't been in the market very long and they don't have much sales data on it, or you're just about to launch in a Costco and they really want to go out with a bang. It's like, imagine doing a farmer's market inside of a Costco. You have to be an approved vendor. They don't just let anyone in. And you get to sell and sample your product, and you get to get that revenue back. What's most, appealing of doing that, I mean, it's very exhausting, is that you get this really unique opportunity to sample at volume to Costco members, which represents a wide range of demographics. You get to get instant feedback because you're sampling the product, and then you get to see, is that enough to get them to purchase? So doing that for 4 weeks, 3 days straight, us the founders being there from morning to close, we got to really test and see, okay, how does this land with the consumer, and the top value propositions. And the number one thing we would say to get people to understand what we were, because people are like, is it a nut butter? Is it a spread? What is it? Is it an ice cream? We were saying it's like a healthier Nutella, but 10 times less sugar and plant-based. And that was the unlock for people of like, wow, like instead of dairy, I get to have something that's dairy free. Instead of 22 grams of sugar, this has 2 grams of sugar. And so that was a great way for people to understand what we were. Definitely, you're spot on. Some people would come up and they're like, why is it blue? Like, that can't be real. So it's definitely a little bit of an education that you have. The consumers are like, I love blue spirulina. This is so cool. I know I want to put this on my smoothies. Then there's some people are like, that's blue dye 40. And we're like, no, 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 no. It's all natural. Some people don't know what blue spirulina is. So there is a little bit of an education piece. But once we explain it to them, it comes from blue green algae. It's vitamin and nutrient rich. Then they're like, oh, that's so cool. And then they try it. And that's the best part, is some people are like, I'm too afraid to try that. That looks so weird. I don't want to. And we're like, just try it. Like, it's look at the ingredients. And once they do, they're like, I'll take a whole bundle. And so that was really cool to see the reaction, understand, why they have that reaction, and then educate them on it, let them try it. And then they see the taste and it's all natural. And so what actually caught the eye of the Costco buyers was that it was so unique and innovative. And I think, as you're in this category or in this just overall CPG ecosystem, you have to be willing to push boundaries, and you're not going to be for everyone, and not everyone is going to resonate with your product. But I think if you are very clear in your value propositions of, hey, we're on a mission to help people eat less sugar, satisfy their sweet tooth, and do so in a gut-friendly way, then you're going to build your tribe, and then they're going to eventually be evangelists for you. And that was really exciting for us to see at Costco.
Yeah. I mean, that was really, really well said about from how the consumers or the club members, whatever you want to call them in Costco, how they reacted, how you got over their objections, how you're eventually able to get the customers. And honestly, because let's not kid ourselves, right? You said to yourself, this can never be for everyone, right? If it's something that's for everyone, you're honestly doing something wrong, in my opinion, because you
Yeah,
want to be edgy, you want to be different. And when you're a product that's for everyone, you have to compete with all the other products because you're not differentiated. So I
exactly.
love the strategy of just do something different, follow your heart, go for it. And it's not going to be for everyone, but you're, like you said, I think you said it way better than I could ever say it. You're getting the devout customer that understands the value behind it, and those are going to buy it, many times because they get the value and they get how it's better than Nutella. Something that popped in my head is that food service, right? And I'm sure you've pursued it, or at least thought about pursuing it. Putting it on acai bowls, juice bars, is that a big part of your business right now? Are you working on that? Or?
It's something we're continuously growing. So our first food service partnership was with Juice Press. We did it this time last year.
New York, right? Juice Press?
Yeah. So they're the cafe partner for New York, and they have over 85 locations. They have locations in Seattle and Vegas. Fun fact, their top selling retail cafe is in the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. That's their top juice.
Doesn't surprise me.
Which totally makes sense. But yeah, so anyways, we food service for them, large tubs, and they use it as like a drizzle topper, and we do branded collaborations with them. Last September, we did the Unicorn Bowl, and then this past July, we did the Mermaid Bowl, and it was their top selling bowl. We've broken records in terms of being their top performer just because the colors are so unique, and it's gotten a more traction. So now Equinox Austin and Dallas, they reached out. They are doing food service with us, and we're continuously starting to get more and more outreach and trying to get into more smoothie and juice shops for food service.
Yeah, I think it's a great play. Mm-hmm. And then like something that we talk about on the show as well is that you also want to go where you're going to make the most money as well, where the margin is at the highest. No bullshit chargebacks.
Yes.
You're not dealing with major. Yeah, I mean, we won't name names, but let's call them Fahey. And so like the main fact is that food service is very clean. Mm-hmm. You can just sell it. It's going to be, full. You're going to get fully paid, mm-hmm. No chargebacks, no spoilage, and then they blow through it so much faster because people are going to order it off the menu. So, are you, when you're looking at retail and you're looking at food service, where are you spending more of your time now?
Yeah, I would say we actually are spending more time online because we don't have to be refrigerated, and we're
relatively stable.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So we've been focusing a lot on D2C and Amazon, candidly. And that's what, was the impetus behind launching First Packets to drive trial. It's easier on the go, and it's great for fitness cafes, easy for, sharing with your friends, taking on hikes and whatnot. But then we just launched Jars literally this week on Tuesday. And
I saw your post. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. And so the jars we're doing exclusively online. We're doing like a tiered approach where it's like you could only get it from our website for the first month, and then we'll do Amazon after that. And then after that, we'll start opening it up to retail. And the reason being is we want to first, with anything you launch, you're not going to have the best perfect product right off the bat. Like already once we launch, we're like, we need to change this on the label. We need to change this. Like it's always a work in progress, and consumers digitally are more forgiving, and you can storytell around that and bring them along the journey. Retailers are not as forgiving. If you make a mistake on your label, your packaging, or if you want to make some extra tweaks, we like to have a first round done just exclusively online, own that process, that relationship, that whole QA price process, and then bring out to retailers the second version, which is just what we've learned is a better way to launch.
Yeah, I really like the strategy there. I think for anyone that's, for the people that are watching and then also listening, recording, no bullshit here. Michelle is doing it in a really smart way, because number one, it's shelf stable, which is always really good to do that. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's light, so you can ship it online. Number three, it's Instagrammable and mm-hmm. social media. I'm bringing the term back again. And number four, it's food service, which is very clean and high margin. So if I had to start over with Genius Juice, I would have probably come up with something very similar, like honestly, maybe a stick pack, like a powder or something like that, because it's so easy to carry with you. And it's more, for traveling as well, like traveling. So let me ask you for traveling. Okay. Yeah. Even though like this, I don't know if this is like something that you see someone like that's just going to crush it on an airplane, like a dessert superfood spread. You never know, right? It could be on JetBlue in a year.
Met my co-founder. She literally just has it in her mouth, and she just like Go-Gurt. She just has it straight. Yeah.
You actually make a really good point that it's like an on-the-go energy boost, because it's like Justin's elevated, you know, because Justin's, their squeeze packs are doing more sales than their jars, right? Just like you have your squeeze pack. So is it more than 2 ounces or 2.5 or whatever they're?
No, it's about 1 ounce, which is 2 tablespoons. And
that's only 1 ounce for squeeze packs.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's small. So it's travel. You can travel with it, no problem. Okay.
Yeah. I like to squeeze it into my oatmeal. So my airplane go-to snack is I'll get like a packet of instant oats. I'll get hot water from the like airport.
Right.
And then I'll squeeze it over so I get healthy fats, protein, so I stay full longer, and it balances your blood sugar levels.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good uses for your products, for bowls, for cereal, for oatmeal, for hot cereal, for smoothies, like a topper, or like squeeze it right in there to boost it. So that's really, really cool. So I remember when Justin's came out with their packets, you started with your packets, right? So you started with those.
Very unique, and not many people have to buy.
Yeah, so like it's really cool. So you're going to be really continuing to push that line forever. Like I think that will that always, do you think, be your number one seller, or the packets?
Look, the way we view it is you won't know until you're out there. And I think that's really what I like take to everything, is like you can plan and look at projections and get as much data as you can, but until you like go out into the market and see what people are like resonating with, you won't know. And that's really what we're seeing with the jars too, is like, let's just find out. And that's what happened with the packet. Like you were mentioning, if I could go back and start all over, I won't like sugarcoat this. Like with the bars, that was technically our first like business, and it's still like alive right now. But we made a lot of mistakes that allowed us to arrive at our dessert cashew butters that are becoming such a hit. So, I just, for any entrepreneurs, like, wow, she got it all figured out, like, really no. And we're still figuring it out. We cut our teeth, and we made so many mistakes with our bars in a pandemic with like doing it all online. And because we made so many mistakes with that first product line, that was what allowed us to pivot, create a stronger product line even faster, and launch with that.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Michelle, you're talking about that because it's never like a straight line, right? And being an entrepreneur, it's like this and going backwards and forwards. And so like we are going through the same thing with Genius Juice, right? Where we have our smoothies, or finding out that it's very hard to scale our coconut smoothies, right? And we've had to pull back on that line. And then we just, as you saw on LinkedIn, we launched our wellness shots.
Yeah, I love that concept.
Totally. And I think like it took a long time to get here, but we cut our teeth just like you cut your teeth on the bars. But then you pivoted very quickly. You still have your bars, but you pivoted to something that you knew would be a big hit and super differentiated, and something that people will talk about, and the word of mouth on it is huge on what you're doing. And so we had that realization too at Genius Juice, which is we want to embrace what the brand is all about by having a product which is about cognitive benefits, about focus, about mood, about nootropic type of benefits, because it's called Genius, and let's put that into a bottle, right? And call it Genius, and it actually helps you unlock your genius. That's our tagline. So anyway, not to plug that product, but we went through the same kind of reiterations and iterations on what you went through to arrive at eventually success. And there's other brands that have also been through this as well. I cite Barnana. I think they're my favorite example. Yours is my favorite now, but I'm going to give them the number 2 spot, because they had their Barnana bites for so many years.
Yeah.
Like 7 years. And like, you kind of see it, but it was never like a scale. It wasn't like a huge line for them. It kind of kept them alive. And then they came out with their plantain chips, and the timing was right, and they just blew it out of the water. And I think your product, so when going to the different ingredients, because I can blab. See, this is also the downside of not having Wade here, is he like you're really polite and like really really nice, but like because we're co-hosts, he's like, dude, I'm just gonna cut this guy off because he talks too much. So so Wade's like, just because we know each other, so we cut each other off if we talk too much. So what ingredients do you have like kind of a plan to with the functional side to really start calling out more like, here's what this does for you. This one's for energy. This one's for the brain. This one's for this. Or do you want to keep it more about ingredient centric, about what's actually in it? The blue green spirulina, or the blue spirulina, the blue green algae. Tell us more about your marketing strategy with that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Something that you really learn about marketing psychology when you're in the field doing demos or talking to people, testing ad copy. And the biggest takeaway is that people have a very short attention span, and you could tell them 5 things and you're lucky if they remember one. And so really the way I think about marketing is like getting the most bang for your buck. And so it's like, what is something where I tell you something and you'll understand it and remember it to go and say, hey, Jessica, like, have you tried ELAVI? They have blah, blah, blah. So it's like really just simplifying it. I think that's the key thing that I learned. And to expect consumers to have that high level knowledge of like, hey, blue spirulina is great for energy and cognitive function. So like, you should take this for that. Like, I can't expect the masses to do that. So I just rely on the value propositions of the overall product and really the problems that we solve for our consumers versus like, this will help, give you energy, or this particular superfood is great for immunity. It's really, and we don't have candidly, like, I don't feel ethically comfortable making claims without doing research, without having, some sort of like a science-backed, article backing it. So I personally try to be careful in not making health claims because we're not a supplement at the end of the day. At least that's not what we're marketing ourselves for. But the things that are indisputable is like, hey, we're a low sugar snack that doesn't use sugar alcohols, and we have healthy fats and plant protein that keep you full for hours. And so that's really our marketing thing. And like, by the way, we use superfoods that are good for you. They have vitamins and minerals, and they add fun color naturally. And we realize like that's all that matters. Is like the colors just add fun, but the colors are natural, so you feel good about it. And for the mom shopping or dad shopping for their kids, they can feel the trust and they can feel good and confident, like I'm buying a healthy snack for my kid, which at the end of the day, what a great mission to be behind, is like helping kids eat healthier, or helping just adults, help make healthier choices. And so that's really how we think about it, is like, what are key things that can be applied to all the different flavors and product lines, but also just empower the consumer to be proud of their choice, right? We want them to be the evangelist, so then they can have that effect of saying, hey, check out this new product I tried, and share it with others.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really smart that you're simplifying the message. We're going to reset the room in a minute or so because we have some comments that have come in from Jason, from Rich Moniz, not Jason again. It's really simplifying the marketing message to how this is better and how this is different. Mm-hmm. I never liked products that are like, this one does this one does that, this one does that. Like, you're like, okay, like this shot is going to help me sleep better, and that shot is going to improve my eyesight or whatever, like all these like random claims. And I think it's dangerous to do that as a food item. As a supplement, it's and I wasn't sure if you're a supplement or not, but as a supplement, it's like like a vitamin. You could do that, and you can have more leeway with that, right? Even though it's not approved by the FDA, which very few things are, except if you're a pharmaceutical or something.
Right.
But I think the angle you're taking, which you mentioned in the Costco roadshows, is like Nutella, but better. Like it just punches through to any consumer, like, because most people like Nutella, whether they think it's bad, they don't know if it's bad for them or not. And they can say Nutella, but lower sugar and functional ingredients that help your body, your immunity, your mind. And like, I think that's a message everyone could understand. And that seems like that's what you're doubling down on.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, look, like food, our whole like tagline is food should make you feel good, not make you feel sick. And just hearing your personal story of, you felt sick having to tell it, like, you shouldn't have to feel sick. Our food shouldn't be making us feel sick. And I feel like for so long, especially in America, we just accepted that. Like, oh, okay. And I accepted that for the first 20 years of my life. I would just always get sick. And then I realized after taking a nutrition course in college, I have food allergies. I can't do dairy. I can't do gluten. I can't do all these things. And I like had to reprogram my brain of like, I don't have to be sick. I don't have to feel like garbage. And so it's exciting to empower consumers and seeing more consumers look to the back, look at the labels, look at the ingredients, and ask for better ingredients too.
Exactly. And these are ingredients that are becoming more and more mainstream, right? You got spirulina,
Yeah.
blue-green algae, which two different things, right? Blue-green algae and spirulina.
So spirulina comes from blue-green algae.
Oh, it does come. Okay, so it is the same. So what else are you putting in your products that's super unique, that are really highly functional ingredients?
Yeah. So for our pink one, we use pomegranate and beets. Pomegranate,
good.
is so if anyone's Middle Eastern, pomegranate is used in a lot of dishes. So I grew up having pomegranate in a lot of Persian foods, and it's a great source of vitamin C. It has a lot of antioxidants. Beets also great. It's great for vasodilation. It's great for like heart health. So a lot of athletes will have beets. So you see that more in like the fitness athlete world. And then our chocolate uses dark chocolate. So that one's like more of like the Nutella fudge dupe alternative. And yeah, we wanted to keep things very simple. What I think is also really exciting that's unique to us specifically is instead of palm oil, canola oil, any of the unhealthy oils that you see in the market, we use hemp seed oil, which comes from hemp crop. Hemp is a regenerative agriculture crop. It's also anti-inflammatory. It's great for skin health. It's great for the planet. So we're really intentional about using clean oils. And I see that as a huge movement in our food system of using better quality oils as well.
Yeah. And it's that's such a great explanation. So thank you for mentioning all these details, because it's really important that we know what this product is all about, what is in it, how it's made, the sustainability story using hemp seed oil versus other harmful oils that causes inflammation, right? Now, what's really interesting is whenever, which I don't often, but when I travel to Europe.
I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, like Italy or France, like, just any of these, Paris and, wherever, Spain, they use like Nutella, right? And like, it seems like they're just it seems like they're behind, and I don't want to make a generalization for all of Europe, because there's pockets which I'm sure are not behind. Just like the United States, there's LA, there's New York, but then there's other states or cities that are still, very traditional in what food choices they make. But it's just like when I go to all the crepe places, or any kind of dessert bar, at least in like in Venice, this is not Venice, California, Venice, Italy, or any other city, right? Rome, you just see that in most of these dessert places. It's like, when do you think this is all going to turn around? Because they're bolted to like tradition and old, the old world, and like doing things traditionally, like their mom showed them or their dad showed them. When do you think there's going to be a turning point there in other countries, like in the European area?
Yeah. So specific to Nutella, it's such a cultural thing in Europe. And I say this because I lived in Spain. So I would like spoon Nutella. And I was chatting with a couple of different folks at Costco who were, born and raised in Europe. And they're like, look, Nutella here in America is way different than Nutella in Europe. And I was like, interesting, tell me more. And they're like, just the milk, the quality of the dairy is better. The sugar is different. Like we don't like in Europe, they don't use the GMOs that they use over here. So I was like, oh, interesting. So there's also a difference that I didn't realize between the Nutella in producing Europe. So I was like, oh, okay. They're like, yeah, it tastes different. They're like, we can taste a difference. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's a cultural thing. But in terms of seeing Europe change, look, I mean, I went last time I was in Italy was like 10, 11 years ago. And you could never find anything gluten-free. Now you go there, you can find gluten-free pasta very easily at almost every restaurant. So I think there is this wave of awareness of better for you or healthier, just being more accommodating to more diets. And saying gelato, you're starting to see like more plant-based versions instead of just all dairy. So you're starting to see little shifts in terms of like alternatives provided. But at the same time, when there's like some cultural like things that are, like you said, really rooted in, there's always going to be the people who are like wanting it for the nostalgia. where I see the opportunity is like, if you can create something that competes with the nostalgia similarly in taste, but then can, make it even better in terms of like the ingredients or the macronutrients or whatever, that's really exciting. And that's what we're really trying to do is, come in with something similar to the nostalgia of a dessert spread and have you feel good about it. Not like, oh no, I should only one more, like I can only have one spoon. It's like, no, you can have this and feel good giving it to your kids. And that's really exciting for us is like when parents are like, I want to get my kid off Nutella and we're like, try this. And it's an exciting moment for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like sweet, but like, and it's so cool that I noticed like when I had GT Dave's, right, the
Mm-hmm.
GT kombucha,
Yeah.
one of his products, which is the Sacred Life SKU,
Mm-hmm.
has blue green algae in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's blue. The
Yeah.
bottle's blue,
Yeah.
and it was a 25th anniversary flavor. You probably remember this like hitting the shelves at Whole Foods, and like it was just Whole Foods, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still have that old bottle, the 25th anniversary one, which they discontinued that bottle. It was like
Mm-hmm.
this very like, GT Dave just went all out. It was like amazing texture. It felt like something, in a jewelry store, like a glass casing for
The
an
collectible
expensive.
beanie baby.
Yeah, exactly. You open it this way, or whatever. So that became one of the top sellers of the summer
Mm.
because of the blue and then blue green algae and then the education at Whole Foods where people know that's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's one of their main top 10, flavors. So I think like this is all turning, this is all happening, and it's cool to see that you're as an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
you are catching a wave very early, right? Like you're not sure exactly where it's going to go. It's probably going to grow, but it's still too early, so early. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what you have to do to be successful, in my opinion. Like you take a chance, you do something different and innovative within an existing space, but
Mm-hmm.
you take a chance, and you need to do education, but you
Right.
also got to get a little lucky that the market grows as well,
Exactly.
and so you can catch a bigger wave, and then you're at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you say that because yes, like being successful requires a strong entrepreneur, people who are just relentless and great team and like great product. But a lot of it is also timing and luck. And,
Oh
are
my
you in
god.
the right place, right time? And I would say the best analogy someone gave me is like, do you want to be running up a hill with a backpack on or like falling down a hill, like kind of like running down a hill downwards with like, the wind behind you? And that's what I constantly think about is like, I'm like, are we doing something where we're just running up a hill with a weighted backpack right now, like bars, or do we need to like kind of change course and how do we position ourselves to like be sprinting down a hill and really catch tailwind?
Exactly, and it's really hard to tell what has staying power or not. That's also
Mhm.
another thing is like you
Yeah.
have also products that they catch that fire, but then like, in 5 years or 10 years, it's done, right? And not, I would say done, but way less people are really focusing on it. I think like chia seeds was kind of one of
Mm.
those. Like it was
Yep.
so popular with
Yeah.
Health Warrior and Mama
Yeah.
Chia, and now like they went down.
Mhm.
But like look at hemp seeds. Hemp seeds has an enormous staying power,
Yeah.
and it's being used in new types of utilizations like hemp seed oil,
Mhm.
CBD. Like
Mhm.
hemp is, I think, here to stay, and there's other stuff too, like matcha is here
Yeah.
to stay.
Yes.
So like my buddy at Tenzo Tea,
Yeah. We went to UCLA
so
together.
oh cool. Well,
Yeah.
small
Good friend
world.
of mine. Yeah.
And he's in like Santa Monica, so I don't think he's
Mhm.
not too far from you, but in Marina Del Rey. But yeah, like he caught that wave early because he experienced matcha in Japan.
Mhm.
Like, and he met his supplier in a cab ride. Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
And they formed like a lifelong business partnership from a cab ride. Like he gave him a ride in Japan. He was lost or something.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, there is like timing, but then there's also the entrepreneurial gut, which is, I think this has staying power. I think this is going to grow.
Mhm.
And blue green algae to me and spirulina and all these other functional ingredients, it's here to stay. I feel the same way about functional mushrooms as
Yeah.
well. Lion's mane, cordyceps, and also like they work. Like you actually feel just like with spirulina, you just feel really good. And so it's cool
Mhm.
that you see ingredients that I'm talking about, that you're talking about, they're now in Costco. And so they're like starting to hit that kind of mainstream. They're not mainstream, but people, when you say the word spirulina, I think most people know what it is now, which is good.
They're starting to, yeah. Or at least they have a friend who like can understand it, or if like, oh, I've seen smoothie bowls with this. So it's cool to kind of get at the, you don't want to be too early because
Yeah,
then it's like this like impossible hill. You want to be just early enough where people are starting to hear it, but not where it's like too late. And it's already like too saturated.
exactly. And at that point, it's like a race to the bottom where, like, if we came out with an immunity shot, like turmeric and ginger, we'd be dead. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't matter how much money we have, how big our brand is, because there's already 10 brands doing it. So yeah, so it's like it's seeing it ahead of time, timing, and then also speed to market. Like, how quickly can you get this out there? So it's an interesting balance to be successful. I like to reset the room because we're going to end the show a little early. We're going to end at about 5 to 10 minutes. This is episode 81 with special guest Michelle Razavi of ELAVI. So it rhymes. Now it rhymes for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the story behind how you formed the name?
Yeah. So my co-founder, her last name is Elliot. My last name is Razavi. So we put it together and made ELAVI. So we had a previous name that we started with, and there were some trademark issues that we ran into, and it was very messy. And we did a quick pivot. And again, like any story is like, can you assess the situation, make a quick decision, and change course quickly? And I think that's been the resounding theme of our entrepreneur journey is, can you release the ego of holding on to something just to hold on, or if you have an emotional attachment to something or you feel connected to it, and just take a step back, disassociate your personal emotion around it, and just be like, what's better for the business and what is better for the future? And so we had to rebrand like that. And so we didn't have the luxury of going to an agency or, having several months to like work on it with like Red Antler or anything. We had to do it in like a week. Because we were about to go into production, we needed to change our packaging. So ELAVI is like also play on the word elevate. So it's this elevated approach to your nutrition, to, the foods that you're eating. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant name, and it has kind of a Ayurvedic type of sound to it. Middle Eastern Ayurvedic. It has a nice ring, and it's very memorable as well. I love the logo as well. So let's read some comments here. So we're a little bit behind, but we have Rich Moniz with Rich Insights. When you decide to bring a package to retail, it's really easy to test it's successful. Using eye tracking can identify pitfalls. So that's when you were talking. I think we were talking earlier. Genius Powder, we were talking about different Genius innovations. Genius Powder doesn't have the same ring as Genius Juice, maybe Genius Sprinkles. I think, the way that we would want to set it up is the same way you do it. ELAVI can mean many things.
Mm-hmm.
It can mean a drink. It could mean a powder. It can mean what you're doing, a nut butter spread. But it's really a platform brand for better ingredients and feeling better with what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And that could transfer to so many things. So that's kind of like with Genius, what we're discovering is it's just the name Genius, and it could be Genius anything. So as long as we're not within trademark infringement, right? We got to be careful about that. We can't be like, there's Genius names out there, but we just have to stay in our lane with the type of product that we're doing, our type of category. It's a shame those smoothies are the best. So Rich, we're just kind of scaling back on it, but it's we may come back. We're working on it with the smoothies. Let's see. We have Jason Raymond Werner, ELAVI, putting the fun and functional. I love that. We have, I think Sarah said this. I can't see her name here, but I need to try this product. Rich, my wife is celiac, and it's been a lot easier and tastier to eat gluten-free. I think this is also maybe Sarah as well. My mom used to feed us blue ring algae in capsules, so that's cool. And Stephanie said a couple cool things here before we go to our sponsorships. Salty offers a delicious blue green, and I think that's one of their top sellers now. The blue spirulina. I think that one and chlorophyll, those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chlorophyll one came out of nowhere. I don't know how the hell, like I get why it's good for you and this, for skin, but it just TikTok did some of that and like products came out and that was just a wave that I didn't see.
Let me tell you about chlorophyll and how life-changing it is. So I discovered it as I was doing research. I was going to go hike Machu Picchu like years ago. And I'm not sure if you've been to like high altitude areas, but when you're hiking in high altitude, basically there's less oxygen in the air. So your lungs have to work harder. And if you're not conditioned to that, a lot of people get altitude sickness. They'll get really nauseous, headaches, migraines. And so like when you go there, if you're planning to do that trek, they tell you to acclimate first. You don't want to like have any alcohol. You don't want to have like, a lot of meat. That's hard for the digestion system. You'll have digestion issues. You want to have a lot of like water and stay hydrated. There's an acclimatization process. And that's why Peruvians, they have like the coca leaves. It isn't cocaine, but that's where it comes from. So it's like a stimulant that kind of helps you deal with like the nausea or like the fatigue. And so in my research of like, I like to dive deep. I'm like, crazy health. I'm like, what can I do to like optimize and make sure I don't ruin my trip? And I learned that chlorophyll is something that helps your red blood cells work more efficiently. Right. And that's a great hack for altitude adjustment. And so I brought in chlorophyll. I traveled with it and it helped me so much. I didn't get sick at all. I would put in my drops like leading up to it and during and through my hikes and stuff. And so that's how I discovered chlorophyll. And any athlete who's training for high altitude stuff, or you're planning to do an endurance run or just like a really intense like workout class, chlorophyll is great for that because it helps your red blood cells work more efficiently. So I'm a huge fan of chlorophyll.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that story. And this was cool that Machu Picchu to boot, right? Hiking there and then high altitude. So it actually, I know we have to move on, but it basically puts more oxygen in your red blood cells, right? So it carries more oxygen to parts of your body.
It helps your red blood cells work more efficiently. So it basically, it's like it can do more with less. And so having less oxygen, it just allows you to mitigate the high altitude sickness.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm starting to get into highly functional performance. I'm not talking like steroids or anything like that. That's not code word for steroids. High performance where you put the needle in your arm. No, I'm just kidding. But I started taking this product called Neotine. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. I've never tried it.
Yeah, it's a brand that's out of Florida. I talked to the founder, really bright young woman, and she's like so passionate about it. And it's it's like liquid IV, but it has collagen as well.
Interesting.
So it's electrolyte with collagen, and it makes it creamy. Like you put it in and it's very clean. It has a lemon lime organic flavoring. That's really the only I guess more of a natural flavor. So it's like mimicking Gatorade in a way, but doesn't taste weird like Gatorade. It's not sugary like Gatorade.
Yeah.
And so you put it in your water, you shake it, and it's fully water soluble. And it's like you get the protein and you get the electrolytes.
Dope.
And so it's been very hot, as we all know. And so when I'm out either golfing or running, I crush like a 20 ounce with and it comes in a stick. I crush the stick, I put it into the 20 ounces of water, and you feel the difference, just like you felt it with chlorophyll. So it's amazing. I love the age that we're in.
Yeah.
I love the age we're in where we can have functional ingredients that are good for you, where it really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Versus just drinking Gatorade or like taking something that's at like a drugstore, right? Like something that is a quick fix. This is something that's good for your body, but it functionally makes an enormous difference, which takes me back again to the mushrooms and the lion's mane, cordyceps, the reishi, the turkey tail, where you might not feel it right away, but subtly after 15 to 30 days, you're like, I'm getting more done and I feel happier and I feel more focused and more efficient. Like it seems like these things are working, and it's the proof's in the pudding, the proof's in the cashew spread, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, look, like, do you want to live life at like 70% or do you want to live it at 100%? And I like credit that to like how you make decisions about what you put inside your body or just what decisions you make about your lifestyle. Like,
exactly.
for instance, alcohol, like I stopped drinking several years ago and I was like, I never had a problem with it, but I was like, I was living at 70% with it. I was like, I didn't feel my greatest. I didn't feel the most motivated to work out. It was hard to sleep. And so, I just had that conversation with myself. I'm like, I want to live my life at 100% at maximum, capacity, both like mentally and physically. And so it's like you said, it's what a great time where you can make these little tiny adjustments and pull different levers and live just a better quality life. And I think that's really exciting.
Absolutely. Very well said. So we're coming up on time here. I do want to read one of Steph's comments. And Steph, thank you for she sent me a book from, and again, I have to, the name is hard to pronounce. I'm not going to pronounce it right, so I won't say it, but somewhere on one of the Hawaiian Islands. And it's a beautiful resort and a golf course. And I've never golfed in Hawaii. So thank you, Steph, for sending me that beautiful book and also the handwritten note. I just want to say it publicly here. Steph's an amazing, amazing person. She works at Whole Foods. She's so giving. She's so kind. So if you want to reach out to her, send her some free product, get her thoughts on it. She's worked in the supplement whole body at Whole Foods for at least 20 years, if not more. I think it's closer to 25 now, maybe even more. So she knows her stuff. Lean into her, message her on LinkedIn. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being, a loving person, and she'll, give you the time of day. So, and she mentioned, I stand corrected, right? This is why it's important, is fact checking. Whole chia seeds, not in beverages, are the top 2 seller at Whole Foods. So chia seeds in beverages is just weird to me. Like it's hard to drink it. It's like you're chewing it.
Yeah.
Some people don't mind it. I like it more in smoothies as a bulk ingredient because then you get the benefits and the fat and omegas without you're swallowing, that gelatin stuff. It's just hard. So you have to chew it while you're swallowing. It's kind of awkward. And so it's a top 2 seller at Whole Foods as a ingredient, probably right next to the hemp seeds, which also do really, really well. So anyway, just want to, Steph, mention that. So our permanent sponsor is V Driven. So V Driven, they are a master sales organization. They do accounting. They do marketing. They help brands from a very early stage and help you grow, but they work with brands that are 100,000 in revenue to 30 million in revenue and everyone in between. They're also very affordable and reasonable. And the owner, CEO is Luke Abbott. So if you'd like to get more information on their services and what they can offer, make sure to email Luke Abbott, Luke.Abbott, ABBOTT, at VDriven, that's V as in velocity, driven.com. We are out of time. We're not going to have a prize this week. Unless you want to do a really, really quickie one. We don't have a sponsor lined up for this week, unless you would like to sponsor the show with your product.
Maybe. What does that entail?
Variety pack, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Something
we
you
can
can
offer, a sampler variety pack of our cashew butter so you could try them all.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a liberty here because we're out of time. I'm going to be awarding this to Stephanie because she's been such a giving, great person. She deserves it. Everyone deserves prizes, but I think she went above and beyond this week, sending things out to CPG Vibes. So, and then this is her space. She's in this kind of this functional space and she loves this product. So I'm sure she's going to be raving about your product. So it'll be a lot of exposure back to you as well. But Michelle, thank you for joining us on episode 81. I'm really glad we got through this with all the connection issues. It seems like all the 5G towers aligned and allowed us to have a not disrupted show. And thank you for sharing your story and congratulations on Costco, your new jars. You're an amazing entrepreneur. So thank you for sharing your whole story here.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun. And yeah, we made it. We did it.
Did it. We overcame the odds. So we'll be back next week, 2:30, 5:30 Eastern. Wade will be back. He won't be caught in a storm like he was this week. And thankfully, I was not in the storm yet in LA. Let's cross our fingers. And everyone, just be safe. A lot of things going on in the country right now. And especially if you're in Los Angeles or Southern California, be safe. Sunday, Monday, just stay home. Watch some Netflix, do some work, and play it safe. So, yeah. Take care, everyone. And Michelle, thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You as well. Bye, everyone.